Hey guys, welcome back to the Zimmerle Eats channel. I'm Nick Zimmerle, and so today we're going to be making some more cheese. I love making cheese, and I don't know if you've seen some of my other cheese videos, which I will include links to those videos in the description below. But so today we're going to be making Camembert style cheese, not to be confused with brie cheese. There are some slight differences between the two, so yes, today will be Camembert style cheese, and it should take about a month to make. From start to finish, but the minimum you're going to want to age this will be at least 3 weeks. So, but I like a month. You can go longer if you'd like. It's all up to you. So let's get to it.
So first, I start by setting up my immersion circulator or sous vide, and every cheese starts with milk. So I'm pouring. I use 1.5 gallons. That's all this will hold, but that'll make 1.5 pounds of cheese. And so got that heating up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I have it set at 90, but it was at 82 at that point, but you get the idea. And so once that's heated up, I'm gonna add 1/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride to 1/4 cup of water to dilute it. And this will, since I'm using store-bought milk, this will fortify the milk with calcium, so your curd will be stronger once it sets. Otherwise, your curds will shatter and it'll ruin your cheese. And so I've thoroughly stirred that in. So that's a rennet tablet. I don't have any liquid rennet, but I'm going to take 1/4 of that and crush it up with 1/4 cup of water. I've got Flora Danica cultures. This is a mesophilic culture. Flora Danica just gives it a more buttery mouthfeel, but you can use any mesophilic culture. And so I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of that. I'm going to let rehydrate on the surface. And I've got my Penicillium candidum. I'm going to get 1/16 of a teaspoon of that and let that rehydrate as well. And I don't have any Geotrichum candidum, but you should add that to your Camembert if you do not want the skin slip or where the paste separates from the rind. But I'm going to end up baking this in the end, so I don't necessarily need that. But Geotrichum candidum will prevent that skin slip. So like I said, that rehydrated for a few minutes, and I stirred it in thoroughly into the milk. And so now I'm adding my rennet. Like I said, there was 1/4 of that tablet crushed into 1/4 cup of water. I'm gonna let that kind of settle. And so I've added that in an up and down motion. I've started stirring it in. And so you don't want to stir this for much more than a minute, because it starts to act pretty quickly and you don't want to shatter your curds, so you want to let that set after a minute of stirring. So here I'm just checking for a clean break in the curds, which I felt that was good enough. So I'm going to start cutting the curds, and I'm going to cut them into 1/2-inch cubes. And so I've kind of sped this up. It didn't look like it, but this is kind of a slow process. So so to get my horizontal cuts, you can purchase a curd harp, which I do not have one. So I'm just gonna do diagonal cuts, and then as I start stirring, I'll cut them even more if necessary. So just like that, I'm gonna go diagonally from each angle. And like I said, this can be a little bit of a process, but when making cheese, you definitely need some patience. For me, this is therapeutic, so. All right, so let that sit for a few minutes, and start to slowly stir the curds. And right here I've sped it up, but like I said, just be gentle and go slow. And we're gonna just stir for a few minutes. 5 minutes would do. And like I said, as you can see, I'm still kind of cutting the curds to size because I don't have a curd harp to cut perfect cubes. And so after a few minutes of stirring, we'll go on to the next step. So this is the end of me stirring. And so after this, I will remove the curds from the water bath. And we've maintained the same temperature throughout, 90 degrees, throughout this process. And so I'm going to take this out and let it rest for a couple minutes while I empty out my container that I used. And so I'm setting this up. This gallon and a half will make 2 wheels using these cheese forms that I'm using right now. I started with the spoon that I was using and decided to switch to a cup. But I'm just going to slowly fill up these cheese forms. And then they're all the way to the top. And that took quite a few minutes to get up to that. And so once those are filled up, I've let this drain for 6 hours. Then we're gonna start to flip every 2 hours for the next 6 hours. And when you're flipping, you definitely want to be careful because they're still quite fragile. But this will allow the whey to drain evenly. And as you can see, you've got wheels. The curds are nice and formed into wheels at this point. Cover that back up. So I've got that plastic there so no gnats or dust get in there. So in this video, you see me only flip it twice, and we do in fact flip it 3 times for these next 6 hours, every 2 hours. And like I said, this is allowing the whey to drain. And so, like I said, you don't see me flip it 3 times, but after the 3 times, we're going to put these wheels in a brine solution, an 18% brine solution, which is 2 quarts of water, a pound of salt, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and 1/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride, which I can include that recipe in the description below. And so like I said, we're going to brine this. We're going to brine this for the next 3 hours. You don't want to go too much more than that because it might be a little bit salty, unless you like that kind of thing. Your cheese on the saltier side. But 3 hours is, from what I've seen, is optimal. And so I just put something on top of there so it'll stay submerged. And so I'm going to go straight from the brine solution to this container with a sushi mat on the bottom, keeping it from just touching the bottom of the container. And so, like I said, straight out of the brine, and pop the lid on there. It'll crank up the humidity in there. And I've got this in a modified fridge for the next 3 weeks, set at 55 degrees. So after 3 weeks, I've got some cheese paper that you can purchase online. And that'll allow your cheese to breathe for this remaining week. That way the mold does not die and it keeps your cheese nice and fresh. And so this is going to go into the fridge for the next week. There is a science there is a correct way to wrap your cheese, and I am not a professional at it, but I've done this a few times. So like I said, next week will be in the fridge, and then it'll be ready to open up and taste it.
All right, guys, so here is our Camembert cheese. We're gonna open this up and see how it tastes. It's been aging for just over a month. Like I said, you wanna do it a minimum a month, and so you could even go longer if you'd like, but this is just my preference. Now you can see still it's got its coat of white mold on there, like you would see in any Camembert or even Brie. And in the end, I'll probably end up baking this after I taste it right now. But like I said in the video, that I did not use geotrachem candidum, which so when we open this up, and I can feel it now, it'll be slightly separated from the rind or the skin, so that geotrachem candidum will prevent that skin slip if that's what you desire. But you'll see what I mean. But like I said, I'm gonna end up probably baking this, so I really didn't need the geotrachem candidum. I just used the penicillium candidum that you saw in the beginning of the video. All right, so let's see how this turned out. It's nice and creamy inside. Beautiful paste inside. And like I said, there's a little bit of skin slip in there, but not too much. Look at that. Let's see how it tastes. Forgot the crackers. All right, got a few crackers here. It's what it goes best with, in my opinion. And maybe some blackberry preserves or something sweet. Some Camembert cheese, homemade Camembert. That's perfect. So, you didn't see in the video, but I had left this a little longer than I wanted to in the brine solution. I had said 3 hours, but I happened to come home from work slightly after that. So I thought this was gonna be a little too salty, but it's perfect, so. Let's get one more little taste. I think this is probably my best Camembert yet, because it's delicious. Perfect. If you like this video, go ahead and check out my other cheese making videos. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.